everybody, welcome back to the Chaotic Little Book Corner. My name's Acacia. Today I'm going to be doing 2 videos with filming, which I usually do on this day when I film. One's going to be a non-fiction recommendation and one's going to be a fiction recommendation, both along the lines of mental health books. Some are books that I've kind of skimmed over in the past and not really given a lot of attention to. Other ones I've given attention to, but I just haven't mentioned in a while, so I figured I'd bring them up again. So let's start today with nonfiction. I have 5 books here, and I'm just going to go through. They are not in an order. I'm just going to put that out there. They are not in an order. They're all just books that I've read. I've enjoyed all of them. I've gotten something out of all of them, and they're all for different mental health aspects. So we're going to dive in. The first one, because I know you guys are tired of hearing about Furiously Happy, which I just mentioned anyway. But this is Let's Pretend This Never Happened, a mostly true memoir by Jenny Lawson. This is her first nonfiction, which I read after Furiously Happy, so I went back and read her backlist. Personally, I loved this book as well. Not as much. It was just as funny. It really had a lot of the same energy and a lot of the same push. It just didn't feel as deep. It felt a little more surface level. It still addresses anxiety and other mental health issues and living with them on a day-to-day basis, and just kind of funny, cute stories that talk about what it's like to live with a mental health issue. I was really happy with it. I really enjoyed it. If you guys liked Furiously Happy, pick this one up as well. If you're not sure about Furiously Happy and think it's a little too intense, this might be a lighter option. Either way, I think they're both really good options to read, and I would recommend anything Jenny Lawson writes. This is a favorite. This is Wasted by Mariah Hornbacher. I love this book. This is the reason that I'm aware of my own eating disorder. This is the reason that I was able to get help. I haven't conquered it by any means, but I am better. And it's been a huge improvement for me. Food and I are not as at odds as we once were. We still just have some battles to go through, but this helped immensely. This was really nice, and it wasn't soothing, it wasn't easy, it wasn't, you know, anything but a shake to the skull. Like, it definitely woke me up to a fact that I was trying really hard to deny, but it was honest and raw and real and really true to itself and true to the disorder of anorexia or bulimia. It was absolutely fantastic, and I loved every minute of it. I would definitely recommend it. It's not long. 260 some odd pages. It's really not that long at all. I went through it in a day, and it changed my relationship with food, and I am forever grateful. So I would recommend it. This one is just a lot of intensity. This is Girl Interrupted. This is by Susanna Kaysen. I read this book probably at the age of 13, 14. And I read it again when I was probably 21, 22. I might have read it again since then, but I don't remember. It's time for another reread, to be honest. This is the story of Susan Kaysen. It's a memoir. It's really, really hard to explain. I believe the diagnosis is BPD. Borderline personality disorder. I believe that's correct. It's either that or bipolar. I think it's BPD. And the diagnosis of the main character, or Suzanne herself, is relevant in some ways, but in other ways it's completely irrelevant. Actually, most diagnoses in this are completely irrelevant because the person is who you're following, not their illness. Their illness is just a factor that's changed their life and put them in McLean Hospital, which is in the Boston area. And I myself have considered going to McLean. They have a really good program for people with dissociative disorders, to help them learn to do more daily things, not live in a dissociative state. But I've really done a lot of work and I've kind of gotten past the point where I would need that treatment. I think. I could be wrong. But at this point it's not in the cards for me. But McLean was an option for me at one point and I had considered it. So it's an interesting book and it was an interesting idea. It's really dark. It's super intense. A lot of sadness in this and a lot of depth to it. I'm really, really happy with it. And I would definitely recommend it. The next book is Beautiful Boy by David Sheff. His son, Nick Sheff, wrote Tweak, I believe, and the two of them go hand in hand. I should have grabbed the other one, but I didn't. These are the stories of addiction, which is a mental illness. I'm just putting that out there. It deserves to be treated as such. I mean, there's definitely things that happen with addiction where it's at some point the person needs to get help themselves and you can't help them, which is devastating. And I think that's the case with a lot of mental illnesses where people refuse treatment. And that ends up spiraling them out of control and they lose the ability to function. And you can either be there and watch them spiral, or you can put them into a facility, or you can step away. My family would put me into a facility in those scenarios, and David tries to do that to his son several times. But his son still ends up falling off the wagon and going back to his addictive behavior. There are points at which David has to put up walls that don't allow Nick to come back into his life at the time. It's heart-wrenching. It's just really, really sad. And it makes me kind of think about how lucky I am to have the family I do, that is so supportive. Not that I've had, well, I haven't really had addictive struggles. I've had addiction to food, but that's a very different addiction. And it's not harder to treat, but it's a different treatment. But it's hard to explain addiction in any way, shape, or form. It's chemical, it's mental, it's personal, it's intense, it's emotive, it's very, very crazy, and it makes so much of a difference in a person's life how their treatment is given to them and whether or not they themselves are willing to receive the treatment. So this book and the one that is comes with it is it's really good, and I really appreciated it. The movie was good too. I watched the movie first and then I read the books, and I actually was fine with that order. It was really sad though. It was sad. It was like, there's hope, but it was sad. The next book is It's All in Your Head, The Stories of Imaginary Illnesses by Susan O'Sullivan. This is a mental health book. Not necessarily mental illness, although mental illness is a potential trigger for these illnesses. So these are case stories about people who had really severe illnesses physically that had no physical explanation to them, and so they had to be explained mentally. So, you know, issues of trauma or stress or things of that nature were manifesting themselves in physical attributes. And that's not the right word. Physical. Maybe it is. In manifesting themselves in a physical way. And this is the case studies of what that looked like and what the treatment of those patients looked like when they were treated psychologically versus physically. There's never really a good way to explain to someone that their physical health is so affected by their mental health that they're losing capabilities physically. Like, that's just really hard to deal with for both the doctor and the patient. But a good doctor will look at all options, and psychology is an option quite frequently. So I really like this book. It was nominated for the Welcome Book Prize. I don't believe it won. It was the one I wanted to win. I feel like something else won. But yeah, I really loved it. So I would definitely recommend it. Alright, these are the 5 books that I would recommend for nonfiction on mental health. Yeah, if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you loved it, click that subscribe button down below. I will talk to you in the comments. Thank you so much to my Patreons. I love you all. If you would like to support me, I will link that down in the doobly-doo. I'll see you all in my next video. Bye.